Scott and Mac's big adventure. Mac loved the big rig. The rumble of the engine was like a lullaby, and the world outside the window was a never-ending movie. He'd press his nose against the cool glass, his tail thumping a happy rhythm on the seat. Scott would talk to Mac as he drove, telling him stories about the towns they passed and the people they met. "See that mountain, Mac?" he'd say. "They say a giant sleeps under it." Mac would wag his tail as if he understood every word. At truck stops, Scott and Mac were a team. While Scott filled the tank with fuel, Mac would stand guard, letting out a small woof at anyone who came too close. Then, they'd share a hot dog, one bite for Scott, one bite for Mac. One night, a big snowstorm hit while they were driving through the mountains. The wind howled, and the snow fell so fast that Scott could barely see the road. He had to pull over and wait for the storm to pass. It was cold in the truck, and Scott was worried. But Mac snuggled up close to him, a warm, furry blanket. He licked Scott's hand, as if to say, "Don't worry, we're together." The next morning, the sun came out, and the world was covered in a sparkling blanket of white. The road was clear, and they could continue their journey. Scott knew they had made it through the storm because they had each other. From that day on, their bond was even stronger. They weren't just a man and his dog. They were a team. They saw deserts with towering red rocks and forests, with trees so tall they seemed to touch the sky. They met other truckers and their four-legged co-pilots, sharing stories and snacks at rest stops. Mac made friends with a poodle named Fifi and a bulldog named Gus. Scott realized he wasn't lonely anymore. With Mac by his side, every mile was an adventure, and every day was a gift. The open road was their home, and they had everything they needed right there in the cab of their truck. And so, Scott the trucker and Mac the co-pilot continued their journey, two best friends on an endless adventure, with the whole country as their backyard.